Hey good people of the internet, it's Eddbud here. Today I've got a fantastic two-shoe combo comparison for you between the fantastic PUMA Deviate Nitro Elite against the newly released FAST-R Nitro Elite. I've had a boatload of requests for this comparison, so let's dive right in. Which of these is the true foam top cap? Meow. Thanks for tuning in people, it's always appreciated. Don't forget to help support the channel by hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell down below for notifications when I roll out the new videos for you, which is most days. Also give this video a thumbs up like, it does help to spread the channel out to more runners. Today I'm comparing two Puma shoes for you in a bid to find out which is the true top cap. The Deviate Nitro Elite or the FAST-R Nitro Elite. There's a certain Frutella quality about it. We'll kick things off with the upper first. So certainly a more flexible material here in the FAST-R Nitro Elite from Puma. Very thin, very light. They've included this power tape stuff around the edge of the toe box there to add a little structure to everything. I think it's there to keep the material away from the foot a little bit, which could start to bother you after a number of miles. I found that the reinforcements around the toe box actually are a little bit more prominent in the Deviate Nitro Elite. They're kind of transparent and a little hard to see, but they're certainly a little bit more rigid than the ones on the other shoe. Now I've actually got two pairs of the Deviate Nitro Elite. This is a UK size 11, but I also have a pair in a size 10.5. I have noticed that there are small changes to the newer version of the shoe, so they've clearly done some very subtle improvements over time. The tongue in the newer version is by far more padded than the original. It's kind of down this center section of the tongue that's far more padded. On the original it's just pretty flat and there's just this overlay here. And the upper mesh that we've got in the version 2 is by far more flexible. You had this strange texture to it in this original version of the Nitro Elite. This stuff's a little bit closer to the mesh that we find on the original version of the Vaporfly Next Percent. If anything, the upper that's on the newer version of the shoe is a little bit closer to Puma's other budget offering, the Liberate Nitro. And that isn't a bad thing at all, really. I know there's loads of viewers of the channel that really love the Liberate Nitro. Cheap as chips. Are chips actually that cheap anymore? I don't know. Nothing is these days. Similar eyelet structures on both shoes here. The tongues do differ greatly though. There's a more knit-based material here in the tongue of the FAST-R Nitro Elite compared to the flatter tongue that we have on the Deviate Nitro Elite, which is stitched into the medial side of the upper. There's a partial booty here, but it does end around the midfoot area. On foot though, I find the difference quite striking. The FAST-R Nitro Elite is certainly more foot hugging. It really does feel like a race offering. Very subtle changes in the FAST-R Nitro Elite upper. It's like they've simplified everything after each iteration of the design. I think it's a little bit down to that very stretchy tongue. It does grip the foot in, and it does feel a little bit more present around the ankle and the heel. I think it's down a little bit to this rigid heel counter that we've got here on the outside of the shoe. I think they've probably done that due to the need for a greater lockdown due to the more unconventional and unorthodox design of the shoe. I don't think anybody can say that the Deviate Nitro Elite isn't the more conventional looking shoe. I think the toe box area has the most prominent difference between the two models. There's a little extra width there in the Deviate Nitro Elite toe box versus the FAST-R Nitro Elite. Do I have a favourite? Well, I think it's a bit of a Frankenstein shoe situation here. I prefer the fit of the toe box in the Deviate Nitro Elite, but I really do like the heel area and the tongue in the FAST-R Nitro Elite. I think I probably prefer the actual material that's used in the FAST-R Nitro Elite as well. It's just that little bit more flexible. So I think my dream setup is those two shoes kind of mashed together, really. Perhaps that's why I'm feeling that the FAST-R Nitro Elite is better for me for short distances at higher pace. Not entirely sure that that's the intended use case of the shoe, but that's how it feels to me. Just is a little bit more pointed in the toe box area. It feels like everything's kind of coming in to a more central position, so it may not be suitable if you have a wider foot. We're going to move on to midsoles now. Obviously quite the alternative approach here in the FAST-R Nitro Elite. I mean, it feels really unconventional, but when you get it on foot, it really isn't that at all. Actually feels a little bit more natural to me, I think, running in the FAST-R Nitro Elite. It feels like sort of different parts of your foot can flex and move differently if they need to. Not quite as rigid in the arch area, and certainly running in this newer shoe, which has less miles on it, it does feel a lot more rigid, less sort of broken in, I suppose. Out the box, the FAST-R Nitro Elite just felt very natural. I think those who are after a more consistent squash under the whole of your foot are probably going to enjoy the Deviate Nitro Elite a little bit more. It certainly is more compressive in the heel area, though I'm finding the foam in the FAST-R Nitro Elite in the mid to forefoot area to be vastly more squashy. I don't know why. Apparently the same stuff, but it feels different to me. Maybe it's some illusion that's caused by that split midsole design, but either way there does feel like a difference. So I did the same run in both of these shoes over 2 days. I am finding the FAST-R Nitro Elite to be a lot more aggressive. It reminds me again of that tempo next percent. It does seem to benefit me when I run at a much faster pace and a harder effort. Though I am finding the plate in the Deviate Nitro Elite to be far more present. I think without having all that foam around the plate in the FAST-R, you get a little bit more room for it to flex, the different bits of the shoe move around a little more. Just gives your foot a bit more kind of breathing space, I suppose. As such, I'm finding this one far more natural to run in, and it's quite alluring in fact. I've got some guidelines on my camera, I'm just trying to like match those up, and it almost looks like this shoe's got like a negative drop. Never noticed that before. It'd be kind of odd if that is the case, but you know, these shoe manufacturers always try new things to sort of get one over on the others. Could be the case here. I don't think it's the first time I've said that either. I always found like the Metaspeed Sky Plus almost had that same effect visually. It's very strange. As such, I'm finding the FAST-R Nitro Elite to be the more versatile of these two shoes. The Deviate Nitro Elite feels like one I want to race or perhaps train at a very high pace in. The FAST-R just feels pretty good to me at pretty much any pace. I mean, if you're a fan of the Endorphin Speed line, I think you might like the FAST-R Nitro Elite. I think people are jumping the gun a little bit when they're comparing it to sort of marathon shoes, or marathon aimed shoes at least. You know, a shoe's a shoe, isn't it? You could run a marathon if you wanted to in some smart work shoes if you wanted to. Don't think many people would want to, but there we go, you could do. As such, I think you need to try these shoes out at different paces, different effort levels, and see what feels good to you. If you want to run a marathon in a pair of Pegasus, and do it if it feels good. I can't be getting on board with this, oh, you know, you have to wear this shoe for this type of distance or whatever. It's just all gatekeeper stuff, isn't it? Shoe is a shoe. If it feels good, wear it. Wear what you want to wear. Do what you want to do. Don't listen to some idiot on the internet telling you to do it. Buy a shoe for £300 when you could buy 3 shoes for that. You knock yourself out. Certainly I'm finding the Deviate Nitro to be a shoe that seems to fit for perhaps half marathon to marathon use. Slightly wider heel in that one. I'll throw some stats up on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Perhaps a little bit more of a traditional approach as well against the FAST-R, which might put a few people off, I suppose. I think at high speed both of them feel great, though I think it's down a little bit to the level of stability that you require. A more conventional ride and a wider heel here in the Deviate Nitro Elite. The FAST-R Nitro Elite is stable enough, but perhaps if you want a slightly smoother ride if you heel strike, then actually this one may be better. This sort of more dense foam here just kind of controls and gets rid of some of that impact. Perhaps better suited for a more wide range of foot strikes. Though there is a reasonable weight difference between the two. Next up we're talking outsoles. So we've got 2 very different applications of Puma grip here. Nobody can tell me that these are the same. The website suggests they are, but I can't believe it. Very tacky and quite deep rubber application here on the FAST-R, and a more weight relieved version here on the Deviate. I'd state that in wet weather there's only one winner. The FAST-R is by far the top cat here. Thinner and a little bit less tactile in that wet weather in the Deviate. Now Puma say that both of these are the light version of Puma grip, but there certainly seems to be a lot more of it here. Though the only issue I'm finding is that due to all the little crevices here, I'm getting lots of stones and debris caught up in the outsole. That is not the case here. There's nowhere for it to hide aside from the little cutout where the plate appears. It was awesome actually. I got to test out both shoes in practically the same conditions. A little bit of standing water here and there. Lots of leaves, which, as you'll know if you're running at pace in England, wet leaves. Well, they even stop trains, don't they? I found at 5k pace the outsole on the FAST-R Nitro Elite was really engaging. It was quite exciting and fun to run in, and cornering as well especially. I felt very assured. I think more assured than a 1-0 lead with 90s Arsenal at Highbury. I think if you're not a football fan, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. If you're going to be running in wet weather, the FAST-R Nitro Elite is by far the better shoe. Now, price may be a big deciding factor to you. It is certainly for everybody right now with this weird economic climate. On that note, I hope you're all doing okay out there. There's a lot of pressures around in the world right now. Talk to people, talk to your friends. Remember that every day you're worth it, okay? You have every right to be here and enjoying yourself as everyone else. With the PUMA Deviate Nitro Elite currently on sale at around about 120 Earth credits in the world, I think that presents superb value for the budget-conscious runners out there. Though a lot of shoe heads are really into new tech and like trying new things out, this is what I'm really enjoying, I've got to be honest with you. It's quite a departure from a lot of other running shoes, and it really stands out. Just looks bonkers, and I kind of like that. It's a wild design, quite stunning in fact. I just love the variation in the materials as well that Puma have used in this shoe. It really is something quite different. Cool to see people trying something different rather than just using this copycat approach, like this cookie cutter approach, copying other people's ideas and stuff. I think it's really cool. Puma certainly aren't just singing the same old song. I think it's an easy way to figure out which of these shoes is perhaps better for you. I think if you enjoyed the Liberate Nitro from Puma and you like that nimble feel that's hardly heavier at all, go for the Deviate Nitro Elite. If you want something with a little bit more aggression, a bit more BA Baracus about it, perhaps if you like the Air Zoom Tempo Next Percent or the Alpha Fly, then the FAST-R Nitro Elite will be a better fit to your requirements. Either way, these Puma shoes do present some significant challenge to the typical suspect. I think if I had to have one right now, purely on versatility, I'd choose this one. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one down in the comments. Musical interlude time. Today it's from one of my favourite guitar players, Brian Setzer, and his Stray Cats, the Stray Cat Strut. I mean, what else could we have with a Puma-based video? I love the almost jazzy guitar tones here from Brian Setzer. He coaxes these wonderful, warm and inviting sort of sounds out of that Gretsch guitar. Oh, that blonde Fender Bassman that he's got, something to really enjoy. It's a bit like a Toblerone of guitar sounds. Just on the verge of overdriven tones, I suppose, with more warmth than a Mrs. Eddbud apple pie. I love the subtle chord changes within the Stray Cat Strut, interesting movements within the melody and the structure of the song, and some lovely memorable guitar solos that sort of dance around the vocal delivery. The vocals are absolutely stellar as well from Mr. Setzer, almost like a Rat Pack style delivery crooning his way through the song, even though he was a very young man when he actually recorded this one. I love the almost party popper style sounding snare drum and that thumping muscle stand-up bass too. An absolute must to check out if you are unfamiliar, any material in fact, from the Stray Cats. Thanks for tuning in today guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've yet to do so, hit us up with a super thanks down below to help support the channel on a more ad hoc basis. Hit that subscribe button and the bell for notifications. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like and share it with your running buddies. My name's Eddbud and I'll be seeing you.